With us today, we have James Hooper, the Senior Vice President Production Manager for Quontic Bank, one of the fastest growing wholesale lenders in the country, specializing in non-QM products. James is an experienced senior financial executive who excels in business development and building effective sales teams with community banks, credit unions, and in the mortgage bankers industry. He has a proven track record in starting up mortgage companies and rebuilding them, with a background in overseeing sales and managing operations. He has a solid grasp of quality assurance, product portfolio, and human capital requirements. James started as a retail loan officer and quickly learned on all the aspects of the operational piece to support a sales division. He joined the top 5 bank in the US and expanded the banking brand in Arizona, California, and the Texas market. He has also excelled as an executive in various mortgage banking companies. James is actively involved in his community and participates in various charity organizations, coaches and mentors in the Boys and Girls Clubs, and serves on the Foster Care Review Board in the state of Arizona. Great to have James. James, the floor is all yours.
Orlando, I appreciate the introduction, and I just wanted to thank FAMP, Linda, Brian, everyone there. Where we just signed on to sponsor we did in 2024, but to also sponsor the big show in the summertime of 2025. So we're excited about the opportunity to be able to present today. We love the partnership with FAMP. And all the mortgage brokers that are down in the and I say down or out in the Florida market. I'm West Coast, but I frequent Florida a lot. So again, if you have any questions, I know this is the topic that we're going to go over today is I-10 loans. I know Florida, that is a heavy market, which is why we wanted to kind of highlight that. And I'm going to go through some maybe some redundancies about what an I-10 loan is, but really what I want to dive into is like, how do you get more I-10 borrowers and how can Quontic really help that? Because I'm going to go through this in a couple of different slides, but we are a portfolio lender. So we are very unique in the sense that we actually, every loan that you close with us here at Quontic, we actually use the bank's deposits to portfolio that, right? Other lenders out in the marketplace, they actually try to securitize these loans, sell them in the secondary market. And the I-10 borrower, if you're not familiar with that, is probably one of the best performing loans in the marketplace, better than a Fannie Mae W-2 with 30% down, right? So these borrowers actually perform very well. But what we saw probably over, not in 2024, but 2023 and 2022, these borrowers really took a hit because Wall Street stopped buying these loans. So the reason why it's important what we do, we never stop buying the loans, right? We just enhanced our product, and we do that well. We've got certain brokers across the country. They really specialize in these loans. Because a lot of brokers and a lot of your competition think that these loans are actually labor intensive and very hard to close. So that is not the case. So hopefully you walk away from this webinar today, A, understanding what I-10 loans is, B, understanding what we offer here at Quontic. And then I'm always open as well. You guys can email me, call me. My last webinar that I did for FAMP, I spent with a couple of originators an hour or so on a webinar with some folks on helping them grow their business in a different webinar. It was actually foreign nationals at that time. So anyway, you guys can reach out to me anytime for sure. My contact information will be shared, I'm sure, with FAMP. So there's my introduction. Lovely face. I think that photo was taken back in 1989. I need to get that updated. But anyway, there it is. Agenda, who is Quontic? I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are, what is an I-10 loan, our solutions, and then how to get in touch. So a little bit about Quontic. So we are a digital bank. But we're really a mortgage company with a bank license. So the mortgage company is really there to facilitate everything that we do in the in the mortgage space. But the bank does a great job. They got Bankrate, Best Savings Account, Newsweek, Forbes. we are the only digital CDFI bank in the US, right? Community Development Financial Institution, which is something we're very, very proud of. Not easy to get, very hard to maintain. Basically, to get a CDFI, 60% of your loans, both volume and units annually, have to go to the underserved market, right? Which the I-10 borrower is an underserved market. But it allows us to create some differences out in the marketplace versus our I-10 and others, which I will get into here shortly. So we do lend across all the U.S., right? So we are in all 50 states. That is the other benefit of being in a bank environment. But we're truly a mortgage company with a bank license. We're not a traditional bank where it's credit cards, auto loans, all of that stuff. Actually, our average borrower on the banking side is not a mortgage customer for us. I know that's kind of ironic, right? We just don't marry those two together, but that is some of the stuff that the bank does. We are the only bank, maybe outside of FNBA out of Michigan, that is truly out in the broker space with non-QM products. And that is all we do on a broker channel, right? We're not a Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie type lender. Our average underwriter here at Quontic has been with Quontic over 7 years, right? I know that through the pandemic, right, underwriters are kind of bouncing around. What that means is our underwriters know how to put a loan together, right? They know our guidelines inside and out, so on and so forth. But we just do non-QM loans here at Quontic. Not to take away from the guys that do everything else, but it is really our expertise, our specialty. The guys that do Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie, that stuff, that also have non-QM. You got different swim lanes, all that other good stuff. But we're proud to serve the broker community with our non-QM products. So what makes us different? We talked about the 50 states. We are the bank, so it is our funding. So we don't have warehouse lines, so we lend off of our deposits. Those are some of the attributes that we have from that standpoint. So what is an I-10 loan? So a lot of people come to these webinars and they're like, what is an I-10 loan, right? It's another acronym that we have in the mortgage business that we all love to have. But an I-10 loan is an individual taxpayer identification number, right? It is an I-10. That's what that is the short for. So basically, it's a mortgage product designed for those borrowers who do not have a Social Security number. They may have a Social Security number, but it's not a real Social Security number. That's one of those, hey, I got a Social Security number, but it's not it. So what we do is we actually lend to those borrowers with that I-10 number. So they have that I-10 paperwork, right? They went through that process. They've got it. They can come and get a home loan, right? So although the market thinks that, well, my borrower's got a Social Security number, right? It's not if they're not a U.S. citizen, that Social Security number is not real, right? So therein lies the I-10 borrower. So we don't look for those Social Security number. We're not looking for a Social Security card. We're looking for that I-10 paperwork, right? Is really what we're looking for. They can have an expired visa. We're going to look for those things. One of the things that's unique, most of these I-10 borrowers are self-employed borrowers, right? They are migrants that came over from other countries, primarily Mexico. A lot of Mexican borrowers that come across and they work. They're paying their taxes. They've got that I-10 number. They've got some sort of visa, maybe that's expired, but they're not a legal U.S. citizen. Most of those borrowers, right, are self-employed borrowers, right? They've started a business, they've done some stuff. We here at Quontic, what's traditional is your most lenders are going to say, hey, Mr. Broker, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, give me those 2 years tax returns. Here at Quontic, we're not. We've got a single page P&L form by a CPA, a P10, a tax preparer. It's unaudited, no expense factor. We're going to take that, right? And I'm going to show you that form later on in the presentation. So that goes into the flexible documentation. The other borrowers that we cater to are W-2 borrowers, right? Wage earner borrowers. So a lot of lenders will say, hey, give me a copy of that W-2. Well, that W-2 is not a real Social Security number, right? So we don't even want to see it. No W-2. What we have here at Quontic is we actually send out to whomever you as the originator put on the 1003, to that borrower's employer. It's 4 questions, right? And I'm going to show you that too in a later slide. But the main thing is we don't break up. They could get cash, tips, bonuses, overtime, commission. They could do that. We don't want that broken out in the form. We really, really just want to see those 4 questions answered, and that's all that we're looking for. So we really try to make that simple for these I-10 borrowers, whereas the market out in the marketplace wants additional documentation as you go through some of these loans. So credit flexibility. The other thing with these I-10 borrowers is they're whether they're newer into the U.S. or not, they may not have credit. So other lenders will not allow you to build alternative trade lines. That's a Wall Street requirement. Most will not do it. We here at Quontic will allow you to build those alternative trade lines. What's an alternative trade lines? A telephone, a power bill, right? Utilities, some of those things. We also take a closed trade line. They could have a closed trade line on there for 20 years ago. If it's still on the report, we're going to take it, right? So we really give your I-10 borrowers that credit flexibility where the others in the marketplace don't. And there's a high demand for these I-10 borrowers. They're all around. They're in every community across the country. You have a lender like us here at Quontic that really helps you get these borrowers across the finish line, right? So in a big picture, this is what the I-10 borrower is. And we really try to make that simple here at Quontic, and we're going to dive in a little bit more just with some stuff that we have. So an I-10 loan, access to underserved market, right? There's a lot of these borrowers that are seeking home ownership, but face challenges with that traditional financing. They can't just walk into a bank and just get traditional financing. So they come to you, the mortgage broker, to get that. So being educated on how to structure these loans, being able to put them together, that's the uniqueness that you have. With real estate agents across the country, I will tell you, some of our biggest clients as well, because I know this is a broker community, as mortgage bankers, right? Some of the largest mortgage bankers, I won't name names, they can't do these loans inside of their normal guidelines, and they broker these loans to Quontic. They're some of our biggest customers. So you as a mortgage broker have a leg up, as well as the mortgage banker community out in the marketplace with this unique product. So those are some of the things that you have, right? Obviously, the LTV ratios, DTI, these products allow for gift of funds too. A lot of these folks have family members that can gift them funds, and they can gift that for the down payment, closing cost, all that other stuff. And the other thing is the reserve requirements. We're going to talk about those here in just a second, are relatively pretty simple as well with us here at Quontic. So everything that we do here at Quontic, whether it's an I-10 loan or it's just a normal loan, we call it light doc, and we put our I-10 borrower inside of that light doc. So we're not going to discriminate against an I-10 borrower versus an American citizen that's also self-employed. We require the same documentation, right? Same thing for that W-2 borrower. So we're either going to do that VOE or the P&L. And that the P&L, we're going to show it. The only thing that we have that's different is on these I-10 loans, we have a max loan amount of $1 million, right? We have a max loan amount of $1 million, but we will go up to 80 LTV. Now, there are lenders that will go up to 85 and 90. Obviously, out in the marketplace, we here at Quontic, we're going to cap that at 80% from that perspective. But I will tell you, it's probably 30% of the volume that we do here at Quontic is these I-10 loans, due to the uniqueness of our guidelines and specifically the forms that I mentioned within the light doc, the P&L and the VOE. We do this on a primary home and a second home. We are close to rolling this out on investment properties. And then we're going to have a no score feature come out as well. Today, for an I-10 borrower at Quontic, we want that 660 minimum FICO score. So that is something that we have as well. But we are working on, I don't have an ETA on when that's going to come out for my capital markets guy, but an investment property option and a no score feature as well. So just some stuff that's coming out to you. So some of the things that we talked about, income verifications, Never full doc. We're never going to ask you for those tax returns. We're never going to ask you for those W-2s. We're just going to ask you for that simple to use. We're going to give you that P&L, right? We're going to give you a P&L. That's not to say that we're not going to take a P&L from another, from a CPA that you already have. But we have an easy to use Quontic P&L form that we give you. You go out to the CPA, the tax preparer, you can do it. The other big thing that's out in the marketplace is bank statement loans for these I-10 borrowers. You know what you get with a bank statement loan. You got to look at large deposits, NSFs, all pages. You got to go to the CPA anyway to get more than likely an expense factor. With us here at Quontic, you do not have that expense factor. There's no business bank statements to back up the cash flow that's on the P&L. And then that VOE, which I'll show you here in a second, is really, really easy to fill out. Our asset requirements, only 1 month bank statement covering at least the last 30 days. As I mentioned previously, 100% gift funds are allowed for that down payment and closing costs. And then cash out. We also do refinances, right? So although the purchase market is a lot more prevalent, but you can also use those cash outs towards reserves. The max reserves that you're going to have above 65 is 3 months, right? Below 65 LTV, whether it's a purchase or refinance, no reserve required. Purchases up to 80 LTV, we kind of talked about that. We will go up to $1 million cash in hand, but that is also the max loan amount that we will do on this as well, which is $1 million. And then the minimum FICO score is 660. So permanent resident aliens and non-permanent resident aliens with a 2-year history of legal employment in the U.S. are eligible for U.S. citizen guidelines and pricings. One of the things that we have here at Quontic is a EAD classification and visa classification eligibility chart. That's available as well. It's on our website. You can look at it, quontichostel.com. All of our guidelines are there. Easy to price out these loans as well. So just some highlights there on the income, the assets, and just some other program highlights. You can do condos. You can do non-warrantable condos in this. We do co-ops as well. So if you've got a borrower, I know they're not as prevalent in Florida, but if you're doing an I-10 borrower in New York, if you're licensed in New York, I know a lot of folks are in New Jersey, a lot of co-ops up there. We do a ton of co-ops as well. So some highlights on that front. This is the, if you have not seen this form, we are the only lender in the country that is going to give you an income documentation form and say, hey, go get this filled out by a CPA, tax preparer for this P&L, and just bring this back to us, right? You got the first page and you got the second page. The second page tells us the relationship with the borrower and the preparer's information. One of the questions that we get asked a lot is, will you do P10s? And we will allow a P10 to actually fill out this CPA form. So we give you the form, you take it to the CPA, the tax preparer, the P10, it comes back to us. We don't need those business bank statements to see the cash flow, no expense factor. We're going to take the 12-month average off of this P&L, and we're going to run with that for your I-10 borrowers. That's one of the unique things about our products and us being a portfolio lender is this is, and a CDFI. This form helps us meet ATR, ability to repay, and this is what we're looking for those self-employed borrowers. For your VOE, I think we're all very accustomed to the Fannie Mae VOE, which breaks down, overtime commissions, all that other stuff. What I love about this for you originators is we don't pull the work number. We're not pulling the 4506. We're not doing anything crazy along those lines. All we're looking for is internally, our Quontic team is going to send this to whomever you put on the 1003. We're going to look for applicant's date of employment, present position, current gross annual earnings, all sources, right? This is where we get into we don't break it out. So if they've got cash, tips, bonuses, overtime, we're not looking for that broken out. We legitimately just want that on an annual basis. They could be at the job for 2 months as long as we've got a 2-year work history. You will be fine. And then probability of continued employment. One of the things, speaking of work history that I looked over on the P&L, we only require 1 year self-employment for these I-10 borrowers on for that CPA letter. So another unique thing about us in the marketplace is we really are unique in the sense of what they do. Now, if they work for a family member, we're going to ask that the CPA complete this and they fill this out. If they have ownership in the business and they're paying their stuff at W-2, that can be broken out on the P&L as well. So when we really close this out from a product offering standpoint, the I-10 borrowers are they're out in the marketplace, right? They do not have to have a social security number. If they do have a social security number and an I-10, the social security number is probably not valid, right? What we do here at Quontic is we create a path forward in both the income documentation, the credit documentation, and the asset documentation for you to get these borrowers into homes with limited or light doc paperwork. So when you take this out to your real estate partners and some of the folks that are out there in the marketplace, you have something very unique. And when I say unique, I run our wholesale channel here at Quontic. We have only north of about 400 wholesale broker partners out in the marketplace. So not every broker that you see is doing business with us here at Quontic. So what that should tell you is you've got a unique opportunity. We're not like some of the other lenders that have every broker in the country signed up. So it gives you a unique opportunity to take this to your referral partners, to anyone that you deem that could be a referral source, and say, hey, look, I've got a lender, a partner that has some unique limited income, credit, and asset documentation where I can help your borrowers get in homes that specialize in this sort of business, and they're out there for sure. So. The other thing that we do is gift of equity, and I did miss over that. I had that as a note. A lot of times these borrowers may buy a home from another family member, and we allow for a gift of equity on this, right? For that 20% down payment, they could do it, and they can make it happen. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up for some Q&A. If we've got some stuff in the chat.
Yeah, we do have one question from Claudine, who joined late. Do you have a no credit and are able to use alternative credit? I think you answered that maybe later.
So, Claudine, we appreciate the question. So we do allow for alternative credit. So those are one of the main factors. These borrowers have limited or no credit. We do allow for that alternative credit. Currently, today, we do require a 660 minimum score.
Gotcha.
We do have an enhancement coming to this product. I can't say when, just because we're working on it. It's got to go through our board. When you're a bank, right? You got bank politics, so it's got to go through our board for a no score feature that's going to be coming out.
Okay, so we're at 660, 80% LTV, up
Yes.
to $1 million. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
And if they only have one trade line, you can use alternative to make up for the rest. Okay.
Right.
Great. Thank you.
Very limited.
We have another question is, what is the process to be approved as a broker with Quontic?
So we charge you $1 million. I'm just kidding. We actually do that internally. We use a system called Loanscape. It's pretty simple. You can be approved in 24 hours. No credit reports required, nothing required from that perspective. But feel free to go to quontichwholesale.com, and there's a link to become approved. There's a quick little form that you fill out, and we'll assign you to an AE.
James, I do have some questions on my own, as a broker owner. In South Florida, we have a lot of foreign nationals. How does an I-10 customer differentiate from a foreign national customer?
Good question. We get that asked a lot, and a lot of people kind of come through that model. So a foreign national, they do not have a they do not own a property here. So, right, they live in a foreign country, which, by the way, that's a whole other webinar. We lend, you get this a lot in Florida. Venezuelan borrowers, we love here at Quontic, right? So I know a lot of other lenders do not allow for that for foreign nationals. As long as they're not on the OFAC list, we don't. So the main differentiator is, A, they have zero type of visa and they don't have an I-10. So if they've got an I-10, there's a process to go through that to get an I-10 that's out in the marketplace. So an I-10 borrower's here, they're legally working in the U.S., they've got U.S. employment. A foreign national does not, right? They've got no foreign, their income is foreign, They have to have a foreign address on the application. We do a ton of foreign nationals, but we only do that in a DSCR capacity for a foreign national product.
Great. We do have another question. It says, in order to, I guess, to do business with you, do you need to have an NMLS?
You do.
License?
We have a commercial broker package out in the marketplace, so we are unique. However, we would only allow for investment properties to be closed with that commercial broker package. So you do not have to have an active NMLS to close loans with us, but you would only be able to close in certain states and investment properties.
So we have another question on rates. Can you give a ballpark on the rates?
So rates, let's see if they changed today. I don't know what the 10-year did, but it went to the moon again yesterday. So holy cannoli. But the base rate starts in the low 7s, depending on FICO, LTV, and some other components with property and stuff. It could be upwards in the high 8s, low 9s.
Great. We also have a question. I think you answered this, but I guess you can reiterate. Do you have a no income verification loan for purchases and refi?
So a lot of people know Quontic with the CDFI. We used to have a no ratio product, right, for our primary second home product. That was a product that's, Change has it out in the marketplace, Champions and a few others. We had to modify that due to the OCC. So therein lies our light doc. So we don't have a no income. The only true no income loan that I have is a DSCR or foreign national, right? Which is that component. What we try to give you as the originator is that P&L form and that VOE form to really make it simple and easy to use to get that back to meet that income. What we found when we took away our no ratio for primary second homes was 9 out of 10 borrowers had a job. They just didn't want to provide that income. And then what we found is it was too difficult. People wanted bank statements. Most non-QM lenders, guys, have a P&L product. They have a VOE product, but they're not giving you this form. They're not doing those forms, and they're not calculating the income and how we do it. There's different variations of it out in the marketplace. So we talk to mortgage brokers across the country, and they're like, I got a P&L product with Deep Haven. I'm like, well, is Deep Haven giving you the form? Will they take it from a P10? Are they looking for an expense factor, and do they need the business bank statements, right? And will they take 1 year self-employment? And 99% of the time, all of those questions are no. It's a little different conversation.
We got a question on whether on the rate sheets you guys are charging additional points or it's just basically whatever the rate is.
So for these I-10 borrowers, there's a 0.5 point hit to rate. So you will see that on the rate sheet for the I-10 borrower. There is a 0.5 point. Let's see, Linda, any restrictions on condos? So we love Florida condos. We love that wind insurance. We love all that stuff that you guys have to deal with down there. We don't have any restrictions on condos, right? And a lot of times we'll get, hey, will you do a 250 square foot condo? Yes, we will, right? We don't have square footage requirements. Now, we have an easy to use condo form that we like our originators to get filled out prior to. Not to say that we won't take any. We will look at that. My collateral review desk will look at that within a couple of hours to let you know if there's going to have any issues with that condo. We don't have necessarily, if it's a warrantable condo, we're going to go to 80, just like we would on a single family, right? If it's a non-warrantable, we're going to go to 75. So we've got some stuff there for you.
Yeah. We have a question on the, says if I'm in a low in Florida, can I sign up with you to do business, or does the employer have to do it?
Your broker would have to sign up. Yeah. We don't do individual signups, but good question. Turn times, Claudine, we are 24 to 48 hours. We're relatively pretty quick right now. And look, we deal yesterday, and I'm going to give you some raw numbers because I look at numbers. We took in 87 loans yesterday in our wholesale channel. 87 loans. 72 of them were transferred appraisals. 72 loans were transferred appraisals. What does that tell you as an originator? Those loans were elsewhere. And we here at Quontic, baseball season's over, but we back cleanup, right? So we're typically closing loans that other lenders can't because the originators go to other lenders first, and based on documentation, they can't meet it. So I tell people, stop going over your shoulder to scratch your you-know-what, come directly to us, and that borrower will get in that home a lot faster.
We have a question. Is there an approved condo list?
So we don't have, obviously you got Fannie Mae's approved condo list. We don't keep one internally for it. We look at them on a case by case basis from that perspective. What I will tell you, Fernando, if you have one that you're looking to look at, we do condo tels. I know that's a big one as well in Florida, so we will do that. The caveat for condo tels is you can't have check-in on site, right? You cannot have a check-in on site. So if they're coming in where the bar, where people check in and it's the management is on site, we can't have that.
Okay. We also have a question about the half a point. Is it a separate origination or just a rate adjustment?
Just a rate adjustment. So if we start at 7.25 on our base rate, it'll be for these I-10 borrowers, it'd be 7.75. Yep.
Okay, so it's not an actual half a point upfront in origination.
No, we don't charge any fees or anything upfront.
Okay, question. I have a question on, since you're a bank, do you guys, I know you said you were going to probably bring in some investment products to this product. Are you considering doing commercial loans for them as well?
So we have join us on November 21st, right? You might get that email here pretty soon, but we have a mixed use 2 to 8 unit product that is launching at the end of this month. So today, no, tomorrow, not tomorrow. By the end of this month, we will have a mixed use 2 to 8. Now, don't hold me to it. I don't know what the I-10 component to that is going to be. So I've not saw the raw guidelines yet on that yet. But we do have at Quontic a 2 to 8 mixed use investment coming out.
Now, we have some questions on construction loans and vacant land.
No construction loans today. We'll do the takeout for sure. And then no vacant land.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any additional questions? Okay,
One of the things, Orlando, that I do want to throw out there, right? For those of you, the first Friday of every month, and you can sign up for this at quonticwholesale.com. We do a Ask the Underwriter. So my chief credit officer joins, has a monthly call where you as originators can come on board and just ask any question. She held one this past Friday, which was the first Friday of the month, and all across the country, she had over 47 questions on I-10 loans, right? So there's a pent-up demand for it out in the marketplace there. But I welcome you. You can come join that webinar, ask some questions. And then I also extend, if you ever want to do this webinar with any real estate agents, referral partners that you have out in the marketplace, use me as a resource. I will be more than happy to help you get in front of referral partners to educate them on I-10 loans. We can replicate this slide for your information. We have private label marketing stuff on our website at quonticwholesale.com under resources that you can put your lovely photo, NMLS, all that other stuff on those for those I-10 stuff. But we want to help you win business out in the marketplace. So anything that I can do, you guys let me know.
Awesome. Thank you. We do have one last question. Yeah, they're asking if we're going to be able to supply this information or the slides to our member base or the participants. I think we can go ahead and do that. We'll have Courtney follow up with everyone who signed up, and we'll send it, because some of the questions that I'm hearing now, he did mention them early on, so you should be able to get your answer there. If not, on the screen you see his contact information and the email where you can send. He's head of the group, so if you send to wholesale inquiries at Quontic Bank, you should be able to answer your questions. With that said, thank you, James. That was very informative. Thank you all for attending. Please look out for more webinars coming in the near future. We post our calendar of events on our website, and we post monthly on our social media with detailed webinars and events that we do throughout the state. With that said, have a great rest of your day. Thank you, James.